Okay, we're about ready to begin. Welcome to the September 2nd meeting of the Rybrook Zoning Board of Appeals. With us this evening, we have 4 of the 5 members, Village Council Bob Zitt, Village Building Inspector Steve Hughes, and representing the Board of Trustees Liaison David Heiser. Because we have 4 of the 5 members, the 2 applications that we're hearing this evening have the option to request an adjournment to the October meeting, where hopefully we would have all 5 members. In order for an application to be successful this evening with 4, you need to have 3 of the 4 members voting in the affirmative for the application. So you can make that decision early. Hopefully, if you are sure that you want to delay it until October, you can make that announcement now and get home early for a game or wherever else you're going to be doing. Question? Yes?
Yeah. Don't you think it would have been a better idea that you let the applicants know that somebody wasn't going to be here?
We oftentimes do not know exactly who's going to be here. Accidents do happen. We've had people delayed by flights, traffic, accidents, and so forth. But since you're not commuting from 40 miles away, you know, I understand you may have other plans, but we apologize if it's that much of an inconvenience.
No, it's not that. It's like if there's that other person, you know, voting into whatever this would be helpful if they saw, you know what I'm saying? So we're losing one vote, or that particular person that may be able to vote is not here.
But which is why you have the option.
Okay. All right. We have, as I said, the 2 applications. If anyone wants to make that decision now, you can let us know, and you'll be able to leave instead of staying around. Okay. First application this evening is ZBA 25-014 Jillian Hochfelder, 32 Country Ridge Drive. Construct a 2-story rear addition, 1-story rear addition, interior alterations, and renovations. If you're going to be making a presentation, state your name and address, and if you're an agent representing the applicant, please state your relationship to the applicant.
So, good evening, members of the board. My name is Tom Haynes from Haynes Architecture. Excuse me. Our office is located at 287 Bowman Avenue in Purchase, New York, and I am representing my clients Jillian Hochfelder and Craig Schuster. They reside at 32 Country Ridge Drive, as you'd mentioned. And this evening, we are requesting a variance from the board for exceeding the permissible gross floor area. So a little bit of background with my clients. Craig Schuster is born and raised here. My clients, Jillian and Craig, are a blended family. So they have a total of 5 children, aging 6 years old. 2 of them are 9 and 2 of them are 11. So seeing that they love the neighborhood, they love the home, they're looking to improve it, and they actually are in much need of space in the home. The goal would be is to propose a 2-story addition to the left-hand side, a very small addition to the right-hand side, which would allow them a little bit more usable, livable floor area, but most importantly, 2 bedrooms as well, which are as needed, which you can tell from all the children.
Excuse me, can I just ask one question about notification? Has this applicant notified through the registered mail the appropriate people, and has a sign been posted?
Yes, it has.
Okay, do you happen to have a picture of that?
I do.
But please provide that to the building inspector.
I believe we also dropped in hard copies of that, but I do have it here.
No, so they're, no.
I have a text now. I did drop it off along with the list of addresses, but it's text now, August 17th, 1 p.m.
Is it still doing that?
Okay, thank you.
Please continue.
Sure. Okay, so as mentioned, there's obviously a large need for additional livable area. So the addition to the left-hand side, again, was a two-story addition. To the right-hand side was a smaller one-story addition. And with the addition to the left side, that's the two-story that sticks out the furthest, we're still a little over 8 feet compliant with the rear yard setback, which is minimum of 40 feet, so we're still keeping that, far within the range. We've actually designed this to be as small as possible to get the minimum square footage that my clients need, particularly, using the bedrooms as a basis there. As far as, I'm happy to walk you through the floor plans and the elevations if you want to see it, or how it relates to the site plan. Just another note I wanted to make is that, assuming, the board does vote favorably for this, we would comply with all engineering requirements for stormwater management and soil erosion controls.
Okay, with respect to that last comment, because you're not exceeding the square footage by 400 square feet, you are not required to submit a stormwater management plan.
Okay.
However, you alluded to the fact that you would comply with. What specifically are you going to be doing with respect to the new addition? Where are you going to be capturing the water? Where is the water going to go once it's captured?
Sure. So the stormwater chambers would be designed to minimum 100-year storm event, and we would locate our chambers to the right rear side of the property. So if you're looking out from the street angle, it would be located to the right. Part of the reason is because the property, actually the contours of the property, it slopes down to the right. So the rear property is up slightly higher than ours, and we're sort of in a bowl location there. So the goal would be is to retain any stormwater from impervious area and capture it within approved stormwater chambers below ground.
And what are you doing with respect to the existing impervious coverage? Right now, you have a concrete patio.
Correct.
Okay, what is going to be done with that patio, and where is the build going to be with respect to that
So
patio?
currently, can I just show you on the drawing here?
Surely, you...
Okay.
Okay.
So, yeah, I can, whoever wants to see it.
Yeah, you just need to stay near the mic so
Okay.
the viewing audience can hear you.
Sure. So currently, the existing patio is in the location exactly where we're proposing the two-story addition, which is this hatched area. Just for perspective here, the street is up at the top, so this is the rear yard. Two-story additions being located where this hatch pattern is. A low on-grade wood deck, essentially it's just up two risers, in between connecting the small one-story addition to the two-story addition, where we'll have sliding glass doors to access that wood deck in between. So there's a proposed wood deck over gravel or over soil, and the area of the existing patio here is exactly where we're proposing the two-story addition.
So is there a net increase, decrease?
It would be minimal. It would be a minimal increase because the addition is roughly the same size as that patio, but we do have this one-story addition to the left there as well. So we're adding the square footage of that. So there's a small net increase.
But you're within the impervious coverage
Correct.
limitations
Correct.
of the bulk
Just I
standard.
have one question. Tom, on the plan, I don't know if you gave me the square footage of the deck. I know you did of the addition and the bump out on the first level. What's the square footage of the deck that's being put in?
So the deck is, $247.
So it's 247, and then the increase in pervious coverage is 126?
I do believe so.
All right, so just do that math so we know, make sure that's under 400.
373.5.
All right, thank you.
Usually they come in at 396.8. So you gave yourself a little cushion there.
Correct.
Could you alluded to this was the nicest design you can come up with that meets the applicant's needs. With the two-story addition, you have the family room downstairs and the
Correct.
two bedrooms upstairs.
Correct.
Okay. Did you look at making that increase a little less to minimize the GFA requirement?
So we had studied initially, to be honest, I was suggesting something larger, and just in general, for the family room space below, for the bedrooms and everything. It's really, we've tightened it so tight that I don't think that they should be able to afford any square footage less. Because if you look at the arrangement of the existing house and their livable areas, they don't have a lot of livable areas. They don't have, you know, a separate dens and living rooms where you'd see other homes that are just more sprawling to have different rooms that they can all go to. So this family room is just an area to congregate. In my opinion, it's adequate size for a family room. And on top for like resellable bedrooms or livable bedrooms, I think that that's pretty much the smallest that they should be and can be.
Okay. With respect to the extension of the dining room area,
Yes.
okay, I think I have an idea of why it is the way it is, but could you just elaborate on why you need that extra space in the dining room?
It's just for extension, table extensions and blended families, the number of people that will be gathering for holidays and events there.
Is that was that reduced in terms of your original plan, or?
It was, yeah, I mean, it was, again, that should have been a little bit longer in my opinion as well, which would have given them flexibility inside to have, you know, another like floating dinette table or something like that. So I think we did play around with different size additions there. And in my opinion, just even for cost, they can't really be any less than that, just because of how much it's going to cost per square foot to build.
Now, is there an exit way to the deck from that extended area?
I do believe that there is. We went back and forth several times. It's been some time since, yes, there is. There's a sliding door that leads from that dining right out into the deck.
Yeah, I saw the plan. I'm just wondering, you know, where, if any place, you can reasonably reduce the GFA variance. And I'm leaving it up to you to make the case for why you need what you're asking for.
So,
One of our goals, one of our requirements is to make sure this is the smallest possible variance that will meet the applicant's needs. And that's reason for the question.
So, I mean, part of this, again, is because we wanted to allow simple, easy access from the kitchen around through the dining room to get out to the deck, because that's going to be the circulation and the flow of travel to get out there, seeing that the family room is going to be too far around from the location of the kitchen. I can't speak on behalf of my clients, but in my opinion, maybe it can reduce down a foot, which then we can go from a 6-foot slider to a 5-foot slider, but I feel that that should not just be a single swing door in that location. I think that we do need that extra square footage there.
Do you want to come up and speak?
I can add a little.
Okay, please come forward and introduce yourself and speak to the television audience.
Hi, I'm Jillian Hochfelder, and I am the person who resides at 32 Country Ridge Drive. And as Tom just explained, Craig and I are going to have a blended family with 5 children, and just the 2 of us and our 5 children fit in our dining room currently. It's small, and it was adequate when it was just me and my children, so then when my parents and my sister came over, it was fine. But the last holiday I tried to do that, we literally didn't have enough seating for everybody, and this is not 50 people, it's 15 or 20. There's just not room. It's very tight. So if we want our children to have their grandparents, and we each have one sister, we don't have a massive family, we don't fit in the house the way it currently is.
One of the concerns is that when we give a variance to the bulk standards, it goes with the property. So therefore, when the current applicant and their needs decides to leave Rye Brook, the variance stays with the property, and you might have a 2-person family moving in, and hence they have a lot of that extra space. So that's why we consider the smallest possible variance possible, but thank you for your explanation.
No problem.
So at this time, I'm happy to answer any of the questions if you have.
No. No? Steve? No. Okay. The next step would be to ask if anyone in the audience wants to speak in favor of the application. Let the records show that I believe we have a few.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
please.
forgot to mention too. There was also a number of letters of support that had been submitted, and they're well recorded. I did forget to mention that, but I do think that that's really important as well, all the support that they have for my clients.
It's informative, but not, not one of the factors that we consider. But I do want to, I'm scrolling down to get to those letters, just so I can, Steve, do you recall how many, was there 2 or 3 letters?
There was at least 2.
Yeah.
I think it was 2,
There
yeah.
have been 3, but there was at least 2. Let's see, I
There's a
have,
bunch.
let's see, here's one from,
Could you just
Golan.
read that into the record, please, Steve, since you have located them?
me. Well, the whole letters or the people?
No,
who sent-
just the name
There's
of
a
the people.
support letter from Islet Golan at, where is she? 28 Country Ridge Drive.
I got them now, yeah.
Okay, from Stacy Wexler at 44 Country Ridge Drive, and from Andrew and Sarah Wolf at 51 Country Ridge Drive, and from Erica Gosling at 8 Holly Lane.
Okay.
So 4 letters.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who wants to speak against the application? Please come forward, state your name and address, please.
Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. For the record, my name is Daniel Conant, an attorney with the law offices of Cody and Fader, located at 445 Hamilton Avenue, 14th floor in White Plains. I'm appearing on behalf of Hetty Cardozo and Michael Rosenblut, the owners of the property located at 14 Holly Lane, which abuts the subject property to the south and southeast. And I'd like to clarify that although we are not in favor, we are neither in full opposition to the application. We just ask that due consideration be given to our requests for conditions of approval.
Okay, thank you. Could the,
What are the conditions he's asking?
yeah, did you, what I want to do is get the architect's comment, because he alluded to the stormwater management, which I think is your concern. Is that correct?
Yes, that's one of them.
Okay, now, being that that's the case, they're not required to put in, a stormwater management plan, but they have, I guess, decided to put in some culverts to capture some of the water. Have you looked at those, or do you have any idea of the significance of those in terms of satisfying the concerns of your?
We have not received any plans to date, nor are we aware that the applicant has retained an engineer to draw up any such stormwater plans.
Steve, based on what you've heard so far, this would go to the building engineer, right, at some point for the review of the plans?
Yeah, again, Don, they're not required, but if they're proposing to install something to help mitigate, then it would be something that Michael Nowak would review and approve. Again, if they were doing something that increased the impervious coverage of 400 square feet or so, then there would be a standard that they would have to meet. So if they're offering something, I haven't seen anything yet, so I have nothing to pass on, but it's up to them. If they want to offer something, we'll be more than happy to review it. If you guys want to condition something, that's up to the board.
Okay, all right. Can you please come forward again, the architect? The architect.
You can set a condition.
Yeah, find out what
If they're not required.
I know. So you've heard the concern
I have, yes.
of a neighbor in terms of stormwater, capturing stormwater management. Are you aware of any issues now with respect to water coming off the property?
The water, in my opinion, is not going to run uphill, and there's very, very dense plantings along the rear yard. I don't know if you've been to the properties or not. I do have photos if you want to see. In my opinion, even if there was, again, I'm not a site engineer, but we do a lot of this engineering ourselves in-house. What we do design in most towns and cities, we don't need an engineer. We design ourselves based on inches of rainfall and how it's collected and where. Not always are there even percolation tests and deep test pits done. It's just, based on inches of rainfall. I think that it is not required, as Steve had mentioned. I don't think that I don't want to say there's any possible way that the neighbor could be affected, but it'd be difficult to imagine so, based on the plantings, based on the elevations, because as I mentioned, it actually does roll off. I do have a GIS mapping that does show the topography and the way that it runs, so you can see that it's not going to run up to the neighbor behind them. It's going to actually run back towards their house, if anything, or to the property adjacent slightly, so.
At what point will you be submitting to the village certain information regarding the stormwater capture? When, from a timeline point of view, what I'm trying to figure out is if we condition the acceptance, it would have to be conditional to the acceptance by the building engineer of what you've submitted. And if he deems that inadequate, okay, then there's an iterative process that goes through until he accepts it.
Oh, so if it's not required by code.
Well, that's the issue. That's
It's
the
not.
issue.
So-
We're
so,
talking
I
about
mean,
a good neighbor policy.
I think what we're willing to do is to at least capture the net increase difference of what we're creating here, just to create, just to mitigate some of those potential issues. Additional to that, I don't know if my client would be willing to spend to capture the stormwater area of all of it. And certainly not the entire house and driveway, because that's going to be, very extreme expense. But I think we do have a plan to capture some of the rainwater. I think that if it's elective, I think Mr. Nowak would be amenable to what we're proposing, just because it's not required. And it would be done so safeguarding the adjacent properties. We would propose silk fences. I don't believe that there's any trees on any of the periphery that would be affected by this. If there were, we would just put the necessary measures to protect them, but everything will be so far away that really is not an issue here. So, I mean, ultimately, we would be looking to create construction drawings right away if the board was open to approving our application.
Okay, Steve, do you have any, it's a difficult situation, fine line, because it's not mandatory, yet how would one approach conditioning? I'm going to ask Bob the same question. What would be the wording of a condition in a situation like this? Because I don't recall too many cases of this type coming before us.
Yeah, it's either the board wants this as a condition or not, right? The applicant's not necessarily required to address it under the code, but if it were to become a condition, the board would request that the applicant submit engineering specs.
You even have the right to make that a condition if it's not required?
You do, if it's associated with what's being proposed and it's a legitimate concern, the board has the discretion
We have
to
no
do it.
evidence that there's a problem. We're
Right.
basically relying on the goodwill of the applicant.
And that's sort of a slippery slope, because if you get
Of
in
course
this
it is.
position with every single applicant, then,
Yeah.
so.
Can we say something in the resolution that says that the applicant has represented the board that would consult with the neighbor in good faith as to proper stormwater
Sure,
management?
subject to approval by the
that's-
village engineer. I don't know that it's
approve it,
entirely
you know.
necessary.
I don't think,
It's,
my
my take, it's not required, so I don't think we're in a position to require it.
And if I may, I don't know, I'm not an attorney, as we all know. I would be a little concerned for my clients if, of course, they're open to having discussions and things, but I don't think we can rely on the client feeling a certain way and dictating a certain number of chambers or something like that, because it's just not going to be fair, because it's going to get to an expense that's just not practical,
Also,
to be honest with you.
the word engineer came up, and I think that opens up a whole different economic situation. I think I'm sort of against conditioning something like this, because it's really a good faith on the part of the neighbor to ensure and to make reasonable steps, which I think you've indicated you're willing to do.
Of course, yeah.
I don't see the building engineer rejecting something that's on a voluntary basis.
I
I
agree.
just don't see that happening unless it's egregiously done incorrect.
Correct.
That case. So I'm sort of against,
Like
Same.
most things that are not required, you rely upon the goodwill of your neighbor.
yeah. Okay. What's that?
He had a second condition. He said he had two issues.
Oh, okay. Yeah, can you please come forward then with the second? And if you have a suggestion as to what a condition might look like, you can certainly propose it, and we can certainly accept or reject it. Okay?
Certainly.
Are these conditions previously submitted?
No, there was no formal letter.
So, in response to this, I'd like to note that the applicant's response for the exterior building permit on question 21, the answer is yes. The area of disturbance is 559.46 square feet. To the question of will the proposed project disturb 400 square feet or more of land or create 400 square feet or more of impervious coverage requiring a stormwater management control permit as per section 217 of Village Code.
I believe the building inspector reviewed the application and came to the conclusion, he certainly speaks for himself, but came to the conclusion that it did not trigger that 400 square foot. And I think the architect mentioned it was 375 or something like that. For the combined impact, so, and they're within the impervious coverage limits, so I think that addresses that issue.
Understood. And with that said, you are the last board with the discretion to impose conditions of approval, and we ask that you consider our conditions. By way of background, the shared boundary of the subject property and my client's property is prone to flooding, primarily due to the topography of the area, and this flooding is persistent, it is not sporadic, and occurs whenever there are significant precipitation events. I did not see a topographic map included as part of the application materials. I have copies that I'm willing to provide for the board and for the record, which I'm happy to provide once I conclude my remarks. We would ask that first, the applicant be required to prepare a tree protection plan to identify the critical root zone areas of the mature tree line along the perimeter of the property. We would also, as currently being discussed, request that an engineer prepare some kind of stormwater management plan to reduce or mitigate the impacts of the proposed addition to the existing conditions or to a level lower than the existing stormwater runoff rates that are being experienced as a result of the flooding that my clients have already seen. And we'd also consider, ask the board to consider requiring the applicant to perform infiltration testing, as making assumptions based on soil data that is broadly provided for geographic regions does not reflect the actual conditions of the site. We would also ask that the applicant prepare an erosion and settlement control plan to address any runoff during construction activities, particularly in light of the fact that the applicant will be likely pursuing construction of this project in the fall or winter, and as we all know, the freeze and thaw cycles of the ground diminish the soil's ability to infiltrate stormwater.
Okay, thank you. Steve?
Yes.
I think I just heard was something that takes place on a much more significant application that we normally get. And normally it goes before a planning board. And this application did not go before the planning board because it is not required to go to the planning board.
That's correct, Don. One of the things he's asking for is site protection, which is required on any
Exactly.
construction project. They're going to put silt fencing in, they'll put hay in. If it's a steep slope situation where there's a steep slopes, then that would be something where we'd ask for a topography survey and things like that. So this is, like you said, more of a smaller project. I mean, it's a medium-sized project. I don't see it as a lot of land disturbance because they're using some existing areas close to the house. Tree protection is nothing, we ask for that as well. If there's any mature trees in the area, that's reasonable. That's something that we can get. And the same thing with as far as site protection, that's going to be something that we're going to inspect to make sure there's no unnecessary runoff to the neighbors. But as far as like what he's like a full scope, like a larger project, I don't see it as necessary on this type of application.
Yeah, because typically, if it were deemed that, it would go to planning, right, for any steep slopes or anything of that nature, especially under the revised guidelines for both boards. Steve, do you have any?
No. My only question is, you mentioned flooding now. Is it coming from the back? Is it coming from there?
I'd like to share the topo of the area. That's all right. It's from the Westchester County GIS. So the parcel in red is the subject property, and my client's property is highlighted.
Okay, thank you. Now, your client is 14?
Correct.
Yellow.
34, yeah, 14 Holly Lane. Right. Length and width. Length and width. I don't see it. Steve, these are the dimensions of the property, correct? They're not elevation?
Well, they show, I mean, it's not an official topo survey.
Right.
It gives you a basic idea, as you can see from the line, the kind of the orange line going toward the back of the property. It's at like an elevation of 34, and then as it kind of goes down, and it appears that the neighboring property at 14 Holly is lower. But like I said, this is not an official topography survey. It's a GIS survey that kind of gives you an idea. It's not an official topo survey.
But it would seem to me that the applicant for the variance would not want water in congregating anywhere in their backyard. And likewise, the neighbor would not want runoff or ponding coming from the neighboring property. So it behooves the applicant to not, have ponding on their property at all, because it would damage whatever shrubbery, et cetera, would be there. But I don't see any significant issue with respect to the area of flooding, because you don't see that as a major reported problem, do you, Steve, at all in that area?
No, I don't.
Has there been anything coming in to that effect?
I don't know, has your clients, have they made any kind of complaint in the past about any kind of flooding or any kind of water runoff? I don't think there's any gutters or leaders going all the way toward the backyard, is there?
Not that I'm aware of, but I'd have to defer to my clients to provide a better answer.
Yeah, as I look at the house and the extensions, I believe the statement was that you're going 36 feet from the back property line? No, it's 40, right? But you're leaving 36, so you're coming 4 in.
Yes, and for the record, if you look at the topography of the contours, I can walk you through them. Their property is above ours. It's elevated above ours, so they're sloping down to our property if you look at these contours. And I could walk you through them to show you why.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so if we look at the yellow rectangle, which is 14 Holly Lane,
Right.
so right near the very large black 34, in the middle of the property there's an orange contour line coming down, which is 278, so that's elevation 278. And then you can see to the bottom left side of their yellow corner of the property line, that elevation is 276. So as you can see, as I mentioned in my earlier presentation,
So it's 278.
the property slopes from 14 Holly down to my client's property.
It says 278.
Yeah, I don't see a
at the bottom left.
276 there.
All 270.
They're all
No,
270.
That's 276 to the left. That one to the left is 276. It's written over text.
Holly?
Yeah, right through 12 Holly.
I see, I
Yeah.
see.
Right.
So, as I mentioned earlier, it runs not only from their property to ours, it also runs toward the adjacent property down on our side. So, again, keep in mind, these are contours that are 2-foot elevation difference
Yeah.
in 50, not on their property, in fact. Their properties, the contours they're represented much closer together than this. But on our own property, the contour elevation difference between 278 to 276 to our side yard is over almost 100 feet, which is insignificant. But there's no way that our water is going to run uphill to 14 Holly. So I just wanted to state that for the record.
All right, thank you.
I have no question.
No, I have no more questions.
Anyone else want to speak against the application? Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Okay, public hearing is closed. Okay. It seems to me that, based on the size of the application and the request, and the location of the disturbance, it's going to be very close to the house. And if you look at the diagram, the difference between the house and the backyard is significant. So I just am not convinced that there's a serious water issue. I haven't heard anything to the effect that there's a serious water issue there.
I would agree.
And the fact that they're going to be proposing capture of the new addition, okay? And it's going to go before Michael Nowak, the building engineer. I think he's intelligent enough to recognize the adequacy or the inadequacy of the plan. The applicant has specifically stayed below the 400 square foot, which basically takes a lot of not only cost, but a lot of activity out of our hands. And the building, and the town engineer, the village engineer. So Steve, where do you come down on this? First of all, we talked about conditioning it, and I have a hard time conditioning something like this. You know, we've been very generous with conditioning, but I have a hard time conditioning this.
I would be against conditioning it.
I feel the same way at this point. Steve, what do you think?
I'm okay with it, no conditions.
No conditions also? Jamie, no conditions? Okay, let me go through the factors here. It seems to me it's not going to impact the character of the neighborhood, right?
No.
The benefit the applicant seeks cannot be achieved through another method feasible. It does not require the variance. Okay? It is substantial, 400 square feet? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, with respect to the environmental conditions of the neighborhood, that's the point that has been most in contention here, and evidence has been going back and forth, for and against. I think the explanation of the location of the two properties, upstream, downstream, so to speak, not being any history recorded of a problem in that area. If there was one, it was never brought to the attention of the village. So I'm leaning toward it will not have an impact to the physical environmental
agree.
conditions. Okay? And the need for the variance is self-created. Okay? We agree with that?
Yes.
Okay, let's go through the resolution. Whereas application has been made to the zoning board by Jillian Hochfelder, the applicant, for a variance in connection with the proposed two-story rear addition, one-story rear addition, interior alterations and renovations on property located at 32 Country Ridge Drive in an R15 zoning district on the southeast side of Country Ridge Drive, approximately 500 feet from the intersection of Fairlawn Parkway and Country Ridge Drive. Said premises being known and designated on the tax map of the Village of Rybrook as parcel ID 129.59-1-12, whereas the applicant seeks relief from the following requirements of the Rybrook zoning code. Section 250-20, Part E, the maximum allowable gross floor area is 3,221.76 square feet. The applicant's proposed additions will result in a gross floor area of 3,622.2 square feet, thereby requiring a variance of 400.44 square feet. Whereas a duly advertised public hearing was held on September 2nd and closed on September 2nd, at which time all those wishing to be heard were given such opportunity, whereas the proposed action is a Type 2 action pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and accordingly no further environmental review is required. Whereas the board, from the application after viewing the premises and neighborhood concern, and upon considering each of the factors set forth in Section 250-13, Section G, Part B, Items 2A through E of the Rybrook Code, finds that the 5 factors as identified before, 1, will not create an adverse impact to the character. The benefit the applicant seeks cannot be achieved through another method. 3, the requested variance is substantial. 4, the requested variance will not create any adverse impacts to the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood. And 5, the need for the variance is self-created. Okay. You know what we're missing here? That all fees, et cetera, must be paid before the application can be closed.
And the
Okay.
permit must be drawn.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Steve.
Yes.
Glenn is excused. Jamie?
Yes.
Okay. Joe?
Yes.
John, yes. Application approved, 4 yeses, 0 nays, 1 excused. Okay, congratulations. And, you know, that good neighbor thing, do what you can to make sure that the applicant, your neighbor is aware of what you're going to be doing in terms of the mitigation of whatever water runoff. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Next application is application ZBA25-015, Anthony Cacciola and Margaret Cacciola, 9A Barber Place, modified the seasonal parking of a recreational vehicle, RV, within the front yard setback. New recreation vehicle is 37 feet in length.
Hi, how are you? My name is Anthony Cacciola. I have a previous variance for the next 15 years. I got rid of my existing RV because due to mechanical issues, it was costing me too much money to keep, and due to the age, it wasn't feasible for me. So I got a new one because I'm retired now and I want to travel, and it's only there from November to April. And I've heard there's some complaints. I've been given letters to mail out with a 250 square foot radius, and the letters that you receive, not one of those people live in that 200 square foot radius, so I don't know who they are, but they're not on my mailing list. I don't know if somebody just got something against me. You know, when I first moved to that neighborhood across the street, was 2 abandoned houses, cats, rats, people living in there that weren't even supposed to be there. I made no complaints. They built condos there. Nobody complained. I went for a variance, and now I'm going to come for another variance, and I'm just wondering, I got people here to speak for me, and I have one lady that's in Florida that wants to speak for me. She's Mrs. Klein. She has a dentist office across the street. I am not in a real residential neighborhood. I am in a mixed-use neighborhood where I have office building across the street. I have an insurance company in my backyard. I have a dentist office to the right-hand side, bank, gas stations, and so forth. So I am not in a, like I told you, you gentlemen before, I am in a mixed residential commercial area. The RV's there in the dead of winter. It's not obstructing any view of my neighbors. It's set back far enough away from the street. I don't want to leave it up in the woods where mice can get into it and cause tens of thousands of dollars in damage to my wiring systems. So I'm here to get another variance, hopefully to get approved.
The pictures that were submitted with the application,
I took those pictures. My wife actually took those pictures.
okay, could you just verify that we're all looking at the same thing? Which vehicle is that?
That's not the RV.
Okay, that's what was submitted,
That was the one that was approved.
okay.
So there's a picture of the new one or not?
I sent them in.
That's,
That's, well, no, that's the,
This is the old one,
that's the old
The
one.
new one.
this is the new one,
Correct.
Right.
okay.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to make sure.
this one's the new one.
This one's the new one. So it's set back far enough off the, that's the old one.
If it was set back far enough, why do you need a setback variance?
I don't need a variance. I don't know why. Steven said people complained. I had to come back and for a new application.
Is it longer than the prior
It's
one?
5 feet, but my other one wasn't
You
set.
need to speak to a microphone, please.
My other one, the other one that I had wasn't parked close to my back wall. This one I parked closer to my back.
What's the length of the two vehicles?
The old-
How long what was each one?
The other one was 33 feet, this is 37.
And what's the distance from the front of the vehicle to the street?
Same distance as it was before. I didn't measure, I think it's
So this is now pulled further back towards the house?
further back towards the house, correct. Has no obstructions to any of my neighbors pulling out of their driveways.
Because the prior determination was, it should not exceed 32 feet.
Correct,
So this one's 37 feet.
correct. But I had to get rid of the other one because it was costing me, it actually cost me $11,000 to fix, and it wasn't actually feasible for me to do it because it was, I owed more than it was worth, so I
I
gotta,
noticed the letter from the village was sent to you in August, noting that you had the vehicle parked in the driveway
But-
in around that time?
no, it's been upstate since April. It's been upstate since April. I bring it home on a Sunday in, when was it? March, yeah, it was the end of March. It was the end of March. I bring it home on a Sunday, and they were at my house on Monday.
And do you use a vehicle cover?
I just got this. I don't have
On the old one, did you use a vehicle cover?
Yes, yes.
Do you have a vehicle cover for the new one?
Not yet, no. But the cover on my existing one actually caused more damage to the RV than,
But it was a requirement, that's...
yeah, but the cover was actually uglier than the RV. I mean,
What, you talking about the date?
but I had, this is good for,
This has the date.
for the existing one, I was good for 15 years. So I'm not gonna, I'm probably not gonna have this for over 15 years, because
But the-
I'm 68 now,
But the existing variance was for a vehicle up to 32 feet in length.
correct.
So that's not applicable here. I mean, your vehicle now is over 32,
Correct, I
so
understand.
it's in violation of the existing variance.
Okay. That's why I'm here for a new
And
one.
also, it looks like this vehicle has some red throughout it. I can't quite tell from this picture.
Is red a problem? I don't know.
Under the statute, it's supposed to be neutral colors: beige, cream, ivory, white, taupe, gray, brown, and black.
And that was part of the requirement when we gave the variance.
Right.
That it only be
Well,
certain
it has,
colors.
it's black and silver and gold, and it's got one stripe of red in it, I think.
It's hard to tell from this. It's more than one stripe, but it's not red, but...
No, it's not. It's like a burgundy. It's
No,
not
but I
red.
mean, it's not painted red, but it's more than just in one small place.
One of the concerns that has, there's a code that was basically passed in Rybrook specifically addressing boats and RVs.
I understand.
Okay.
But that's basically your residential neighborhoods, high-end neighborhoods.
What is,
I'm not sure that that's
what is the
accurate.
zoning district, Steve, of 9A Barber? Is it an R2F?
R2F zone,
What does the R stand for?
residential two-family zone.
Okay, it's in a residential zone, it's not in a mixed-use zone.
Okay, so what about the office building that's across the street from me?
That's not before us. We're not addressing that.
Yeah, that's,
Right, Mr. Cacciola, there's a line, on the other side that goes with the Rye Ridge, with the South Ridge Street office building, so you're behind those buildings, so I understand why you would look at it that way, because you're looking at commercial areas, but that
And
line...
I got an insurance company in my backyard that I look at all the time, and a lawyer's office, chiropractor's office, dentist. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's only there it's there in the dead of winter. I mean, that's it.
I mean,
It's
what
gone.
concerns me to some degree is you were given a variance with certain very specific requirements,
Understand.
and then
I didn't,
I understand the need to replace the vehicle.
no, I
but-
didn't do this on purpose. I didn't I didn't read.
but it
I
is,
just-
it is what it is, and
It is what it is, okay.
one of the concerns that this board has always followed is what we call village creep. In other words, when we give a variance, and someone comes back and adds another variance on top of a variance they originally got.
They couldn't get what they wanted originally, so they creep it through.
But also, if we do it here, then somebody else comes and says they have a 36-foot vehicle, what is our justification for turning that one down if we've granted yours? There's a precedential concern that we have, not just on your property.
It's a village code, that's part of the concern.
Understandable, but I was already approved for one. Why?
Because this is
Thirty-
5 feet
this is
longer and
bigger.
different.
There
the
were a whole
difference?
bunch of conditions at that time, and this board was the same board,
Understand, I know.
all right? Now, looking at the proximity to the street, there's absolutely no way you can go by there without seeing this large box in the driveway.
Well, considering the street is maybe 100 feet long, so, I mean, it's not a
I
main,
understand.
it's not a main thoroughway.
But it is in Rybrook, and it's subject to the Rybrook bulk standards. And when a person comes before looking for a variance, what we try to do is to look at not only that application, because each application is unique. This application is unique.
Okay.
If somebody in the Arbors were to come along and say, I want to put an RV there, it's a different location, but it's still an RV, and if it's in the garage, it's not a problem. Is that correct, Steve? The exact code reads as what?
Right, yeah, if it's screened, if it's in the there's a bunch of conditions in the code which would make an exception. I can read that if you want, Don.
And this one, though, is an exception of every single one of them, right? That's my understanding of the code, is that this application is an exception to every single one of those. It's not in the garage, it sticks out past the front of the house,
It's got to be completely covered.
got to be covered, screened, and none of this is applicable So, in effect, this basically is saying, I want a separate code because I live on 9A Barber Place.
Well, I'm not
As you said,
asking
you got-
for a
you got a
separate
variance.
code. This was, I bring it home, didn't realize it, and somebody complained, and he called me up, and that's why I'm going through this. I didn't know, because I was good for 15 years. So I did not read it, because it was 5 years old that I didn't read it. And so I guess it's my fault, but,
Yeah.
I mean, if I was approved for 15 years, and I'm not asking,
515.
2000?
2020.
It was, resolution says it's approved for 15 years.
Oh, approved for.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Now,
So, I
did
mean,
you even consider at all, when you were purchasing that there were conditions put on your previous application?
No.
How could you not? Because it was a big discussion at that point.
yeah, well, I knew it had to be covered. I didn't remember about the 32 feet. It's 5 feet bigger, but it does fit in my driveway, and it does have the same distance in front of my driveway as the previous one does, because I'm set back more into my driveway.
But because it doesn't satisfy the conditions of the original variance,
Okay,
okay, we have to look at the whole thing all over again.
okay, so what can we do?
Well, the obvious is storing it off-site, and no one's saying that you have to keep it in the woods,
Oh, where am I to keep it?
in a storage area,
Where?
wherever you can store an RV or a boat. I mean, if I'm driving through and someone has a boat on their property for the winter, because they take it out of the water and they keep it in the winter, that's not going to be approved.
You don't really see it unless you come down Barber Place at that 100-foot street. Otherwise, you don't see it.
But it's making a precedent for the entire village. That's a serious issue, especially when it comes to an RV or a boat, and then of one of this size. Okay? Because if we say, okay, you can have a 37-foot RV in your driveway for a few months of the year, provided no one drives down that street. There are lots of streets in Rybrook. I live on a cul-de-sac, not too much cross-traffic goes through, okay? But if somebody parked an RV on that street, it would be problematic.
Okay, so now, my mechanic is down here, and if I want to go on vacation, I gotta come down and load up with food and my clothes and stuff like that. How do I go about that?
My understanding, Steve, that a vehicle can be parked on a public street while loading or unloading?
Yeah, that's correct, Don.
I mean, I'm sure it could also, if he's packing up, it'd be in the driveway while he's packing up, or not.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, like, what happens if I gotta bring it down from my mechanic? My mechanic is down here in Portchester. Is there gonna be a problem if it's there overnight or something
No.
like that for the next day?
I don't.
I don't see it as a problem, provided it isn't a permanent situation.
It's really not a permanent situation, it's only for 5 months, so it's not
But
permanent.
5 months is significant.
It's significant.
If you have it there several hours or whatever while you're loading up, getting it ready, that's no different than someone visiting you or whatever. That's not the same type of situation. That's not the situation that we're concerned with. We're concerned with an extended periods of time.
We've had similar situations with people who wanted larger driveways so they could accommodate 4 cars and a boat and a motorcycle, and we didn't approve them because it affects the character of the neighborhood. It's not, while this is personal to you, it has a greater effect that we are charged with looking at. It's like, so if somebody is, in my neighborhood over, off of King Street, and there was an RV spinning in one of their driveways all year long, or half a year, it would not be something that I'd want to see every day, even for 5 months.
If it's there a few hours or even
Or a
overnight.
couple of days or a
that-
weekend, that's fine.
See, what's the ruling on a pod being in a driveway? Is there a timeline stipulation?
Yeah, a pod can be in a driveway during the periods of construction, or if someone just needs a storage pod, you get a permit for up to 30 days, and you can extend that, depending if you need it, but 90 days would be the limit.
Okay, now, across the Rybrook-Portchester border, there's been a pod sitting there for several months, but it's in Portchester. And everyone who drives by the street sees a pod sitting in the driveway with a canopy coming out of the side of it for additional storage. I don't know what it's there for, but it's in Portchester. It's Portchester's issue.
Okay.
If they want to allow pods to stay in driveways, for extended periods of time, that's their bulk standard. But here in Rybrook, and just because Barber Place is in the south end, it's a low-traffic street, although it's a through street, it's still within the Rybrook bulk standards. And, if you kept to the existing conditions, you would be fine. Right? There's nothing we could
Well,
do
we do it.
because
That
you
was
were
the
given
purpose.
that for a period of time. But this is now asking for a different situation. Same,
Because it's because of 5 feet.
5 feet, the color, yeah.
But
5 feet.
But the whole thing in zoning is, and how we look at property setbacks and height thing is all about 4 feet, 5 feet. It's not just 30 feet. I mean, if you watch our meetings, you see that we're dealing with numbers of that size, but as Don said, we're concerned about creep. And, there are all sorts of bulk standards that we have to do. If somebody moves their front porch forward in Rybrook, that means the next neighbor can put their front porch forward. And then all of a sudden, we've got a series of, it doesn't look like the village we thought it was going to look like. So that's our concern.
And when we approved the 32 feet, if I remember correctly, that wasn't an easy decision. That was something we did, we felt was appropriate at the time, but it was,
I totally appreciated it.
but it was something that was really, I'll say, pushing to our limits on that. And the difference is significant enough that I think you may want to be looking at other alternatives.
And I think that the most serious concern is obviously, I've had a car in my driveway where the wires were eaten.
With what?
The wires were eaten by a rodent.
Okay.
Because it was parked in, my son left the car there for a while, and next thing you knew, it was eaten. So I understand that concern, but there are places that can store a vehicle of this size, and it's just a matter of, checking with other folks, because, I think if you purchase an RV of this size, then one of the considerations is always going to be, where do I keep it? And I think that should have been on your radar. Jamie, do you have any?
No, I mean, I agree. I mean, I'm just concerned, whether it's 1 foot or 5 feet. I mean, we conditioned this at 30, no more than 32. It's 5 years later. No different than the application we just had. We just approved something, and in 5 years, they're going to come back and they built something that we didn't originally approve. We would have a major problem with that, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I think it's more of the precedent of, sticking to what was approved and conditioned. No, it's an inconvenience, but.
And just out of curiosity, this new one seems to be much taller than the old one.
1 foot.
And it's more truck-looking than RV-looking.
But it's a passenger vehicle.
No, I understand that, and I understand, but, this has, the front of this is very truck-like.
But we
Whereas
didn't
the other
condition
one-
the height, we just
No,
conditioned the length.
We didn't, I'm just looking at, when you do
In
not.
hindsight, maybe we should have, but we didn't.
I'm just looking at appearance.
Yeah.
No, the height was
Yeah.
not conditioned, the front of the vehicle was not conditioned, other than size. I'm just looking at it.
Yeah.
I mean, there is the red stripe, which
Yeah,
is not.
Okay, we're going to ask the audience now. We received both positive and negative letters. The board listens to the concerns of neighbors, but it is not determinative. We have to follow 5 rules, basically, according to New York state law, and those 5 rules do not include how neighbors feel. You're entitled to make a statement and to make your argument as strong as possible, but we cannot approve something based on the number of people in this room. If you recall, a few years ago, somebody wanted to build a hockey complex up on Northern King Street. And this room was filled with people screaming and complaining about building a hockey rink, a series of hockey rinks in Rye Brook. And it was very contentious. Everyone didn't want to see a hockey rink. They didn't want cars going by. They didn't want noise, drinking, and partying in the parking lot. But that was not how we made our decision. We made our decision on the basis of the law. And I think that's what we have to do here.
And it's not based on the loudest voice.
Right.
But we've still, that being said,
We are informed by it.
and
Yes.
as part of our process, we listen to both positives and negatives, so that's part of the process.
So you're entitled to come up and make a statement. I'm not going to limit you to 2 minutes or 3 minutes. Like, it ticks me off when I hear somebody do that. But make your argument if you're for it. 4 people, I think, have come forth with letters.
And we've read the letters.
And the
But like I
fact,
said, those people on those letters were not on my mailing list.
But this is
They
an
don't have
open,
to be.
they don't have to be.
They don't have to be.
The mailing list is required by law, but anybody in Rybrook can come and speak for or against.
okay, if anyone want to come forward, please speak. Please introduce yourself.
At the microphone.
Microphone, please.
But the people on the first 2, wait,
Yeah.
okay.
First, your name
I'm
and...
Margie Cacciola. The people on the first 2 letters, they said they lived across the street, and they did not. So, even I think the 3rd letter too, they said Bow Ridge Commons. And I asked everyone in there, and Addie lives there, and she didn't know them either. So,
Thank you. That's
the
helpful.
names we tried to look up, they were nowhere.
Steve, can we figure out?
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that, how are these people from all over the place finding out?
Well, it is a notice of a public hearing. I mean, it's not acceptable if we've got
Right.
people who are,
No, and we didn't.
don't live in the
We
village.
didn't do this to do anything undercover. We fell in love. We bought it. The next day, we were loading it to get rid of it, and then we were filing. And they came to the house faster before we actually got to let it go.
We understand.
So it was only going to be there a couple of days. We didn't do it to hide, because obviously, you can't hide something like that.
We get it. We
Yeah.
understand that.
All right.
Thank you.
Someone else want to speak? Please come forward.
How are you? Rocco Latella, Bowman Avenue. I was really concerned when Mr. Cacciola was telling me that he got letters from the people, I guess, that were disappointed about the vehicle being there. Shouldn't they be here? I guess they don't have to be here. Could they just write letters?
Yes.
And it could just be from anybody
In Rybrook, yes.
in Rybrook? Okay.
In fact, we had a former member of the Board of Trustees who was raised in Rybrook and moved to New York City and regularly commented on applications coming before the zoning board and the planning board, making, very, very long arguments for this or for that.
And you live in Manhattan?
He moved to Manhattan, yes. But
Nothing else better to do, I guess?
Basically, yeah.
But he was arguing facts, about the history of the property under consideration, which was supportive of one of the applicants. But, no, I believe the village's policy is if any formal complaint is made, they visit the site, and if somebody has a violation and people do not report it, unless the village trips over it, you know, they've got so many other things they have to do, their plate is full, so they don't go looking for trouble. But they have a responsibility to follow up on any complaint that comes in.
And, one other thing, I understand the last time you guys contemplated, I guess you gave them the variance. I understand it's a few feet longer, a foot higher, but we have to understand something. You guys say that was a creep, like, if you give it to one person, then the next, I guarantee you there's not going to be a whole slew of people coming in looking to put a 30-some-odd foot, RV in their driveway. It's not going to be like, oh, you're going to have a whole bunch of people coming to the door. This gentleman, he's retired, and just living out his days with his wife, spending his time, you know what I'm saying? And I really don't understand to make, exactly, he worked his whole life to retire just to be able to relax, and look, you're saying, oh, well, you have to find a place to store it. Do you know what it's like to store something like that? If you go to a storage facility, they see that, they start salivating at the mouth. And you gotta understand, he only has X amount of dollars coming in, and like I said, there's not gonna be thousands of RVs moving into Rye Brook. So, like I said, I'm just trying to make a point, it's, when you're living on a fixed income after a while, you know what I'm saying? Just the expense of now, and I understand, look, we all have this, when we go to trade something in and we go to purchase something, we're not really thinking, oh, wow, look, this is nice, like, let's say, I think we can do this, we're not, well, we have the variance that we're going to have to, I'm sorry, you're not going to tell the sales guy, we got a variance that we have to find, it's like, hey, wow, yeah, extra 5 feet, they're not murdering anybody, you know what I'm saying? That's all, I'm just trying to you know what I'm saying? Like, even if you were going there to try to buy, an RV or something like that, wow, just a couple of feet long, what do you think, hon? Yeah, okay, that sounds great. Then worry about, oh, now we can't even keep it in the driveway. Now we have another expense of having to store it somewhere. Like I said, it's not going to be a whole slew of people come in. Well, we all got 37-foot RVs now. We're all going to take over Rye Brook, and every driveway is going to be filled. You know what I'm saying? It's just one.
It will be very hard if this application is approved and someone comes in and says, and they happen to be lawyered up to the gills, and they'll say, you gave it to this person and you cannot deny my application.
Understandable. But from the last variance that he received till now, nobody has come in for a variance to put an RV in their driveway, honestly. You would know, because you would be like, wow, remember this one last month, or remember that one last year? From his last variance to now, there has not been no other applications for a variance to put an RV in a driveway. Now, I know you'd be like, no, you're wrong, and I'd be like, okay, I'm wrong. Honestly, I'm not sitting here trying to aggravate you guys or anything, but just we're not like trying to get away with murder. He's not, just 5 foot.
We had an application several years ago from somebody on Woodland Drive who came before us and said, I want a swimming pool in my backyard. It's my property, I can do whatever I want.
We're talking about a swimming pool that once it's put there, it stays there. We're talking about a gentleman that's going to be keeping it just to make sure it doesn't get destroyed during the winter months, and then he's going to be happily ever after, like doing his vacationing in the summertime and enjoying himself, and then only for the winter. It's not something permanent where, well, they got a pool there and it's got to stay there. You know what I'm saying? It's, there's variables here. It's just something that he's looking to, just to be able to store, just to keep an eye on. When you make an investment like that, you definitely want to keep an eye on. I know you guys would. You make an investment like that. That's something else. Let me tell you. You know what I'm saying? A substantial investment.
It's not really an investment. It's an investment of.
I'm sorry.
Yes,
Could
sir.
you tell us where do you live? You live on Barber Place?
Bowman.
Okay. Sorry.
One house past the corner of his block, right
Okay.
there. I could basically see his house from where I am.
All right, thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Did we get a letter from the neighbor on either side?
They're supportive. They don't mind it.
No, right, no, because there's one of the letters from somebody from Bow Ridge Commons says the neighbors on our side can't see out of the driveway because of the vehicle, and I don't know if that's, they don't live there.
Plus Bowman Commons are across the street from me, so when they pull out of their driveway, there's nothing obstructing their view. They live there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anyone else want to speak in favor of the application? Okay.
They live in Bowman Commons. Tenant?
Please come forward, state your name and address, please.
Bill Malter, 65 Bowman Avenue. You know, I'm listening to this, and you're talking about 5 feet. And you're also talking about rules and regulations. And you're talking about ordinances. But we have people who park on the street for days, weeks at a time on Bowman Avenue. 72 hours is the limit. Nothing happens with these cars. You're talking about, you know, the fact that he's here for, 5 months. Now this guy parks a Cadillac limousine and another car on the street. Okay? Nothing is done. Why don't you tell him he needs to find a place to park those? And he lives in Section 8. Okay? We're talking 5 feet, and you're making a thing about the color of a pinstripe. Pardon me for saying this.
I had a homeless guy living in his car on our street. How long? Almost 2 months? Almost 2 months. Living in his car on our street for almost 2 months. Called the cops numerous times because he moved from one spot to another. They couldn't do nothing. For 2 months.
He slept
He slept in it.
Right.
This is the area we live in.
All right? And that's on our street.
Understood that,
I got a $300,000 motorhome that somebody complained about, and it's in my driveway. I just can't feasibly.
I mean, honestly, not to cut him off, it's not an eyesore. He keeps it clean, he keeps it covered, it's off the street, he's not blocking anybody. But you got people who have parking spaces in a driveway that will park on the street, taking up parking. Okay? There's limited parking by us. I'm lucky I've got a driveway. I park in the driveway. But we've got people that park on the street that have places to park. Right? And there's no parking, right? So we're going to have it becomes a mad fight on Osborne, on Barber, on Division, and you have people, Franklin, so you've got...
They close Bowman, and they close Franklin for the winter.
yeah, there are many sections of Rye Brook that have major parking issues.
Right, and he's not taking up parking. He is not affecting anybody's parking. It's out of sight, out of mind, basically. 5 months. I don't see the issue, to be honest with you. I said my piece.
Thank
you.
Anyone else want to speak in favor of the application that we haven't heard from or raise different issues?
Hi, my name is Adrienne Castorella. My parents, Adelaide and Bartholomew DiCrescenzo, live at Bow Ridge Commons. I understand all the details, and I understand about the 5-foot difference. All we're here to say is, it doesn't bother us. We pull in, we pull out. It's not anywhere near the road, but I do understand your reasoning, but it also is very beautiful. So,
In the eyes of the beholder.
yeah, but it doesn't cause any, you could drive, you could walk. It doesn't cause any issues pulling in and out of anywhere.
Thank you.
Actually, a neighbor of mine down south had a tornado come by and took his RV and picked it up and blew it sideways and totally destroyed it.
That's a shame.
You know,
Trailer?
it broke his heart. No, it was a cab built into the RV. It was a monster RV, but it was a total loss.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, let the, there are no further people speaking in favor of the application.
I do have a question, though. I'm sorry.
Who do you want to ask?
No, I'd like to, a quick question. Yes, please. Actually, 2 questions. You mentioned before that you don't currently have a cover
I just got it.
You just got, and what's the coloring of the cover?
The only covers that they make, I think is black and gray, I think, for that size.
Black and gray, there's no other colors in it?
No, I don't think so.
Also, you mentioned, and obviously, that you're 68, this is your basic, are you planning on staying in the home for an extended period of time? Are you planning on relocating at some point?
What do you mean?
If you have any.
In my house?
From your house.
Well, I wanted to leave this area and go to Carolina, but my wife doesn't want to leave the grandkids, so that's why I bought the RV.
And they're,
My son is just in first grade, so
Yeah.
we plan on staying when we purchase.
All right. So, I mean, that's why I bought it, because that was I saved up for a retirement place, but I ended up spending 300 grand on this.
All right.
Thank
So,
There are a lot more places in Carolina to store an RV, actually, that's for sure.
they have tornadoes there, too.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Okay, let the record show that with respect to negative, there were 4 letters received from various folks who
There are also some
have been
support
alluded
letters.
to in the conversations before us.
And there were a couple of support letters received as well.
We received 4 support letters, plus the people in the audience who spoke, and we received 4 letters against that, citing different concerns that have been discussed in the proceedings. Let us go through the 5 factors, all right? The character of the neighborhood, in this case,
It's a big issue.
the character.
Arguably, yes.
Essentially,
Yes. Okay. Will. The benefit the applicant seeks cannot be achieved through another method feasible for the applicant to pursue.
Correct.
Storage.
Oh.
Can, right?
That's true.
All right, the variance is substantial. The variance will not create any adverse impacts to the physical or environmental conditions. Excuse me?
Close the public meeting?
We closed
You didn't close the public meeting.
Oh, okay. After I cited the negatives, motion to close the public
So
hearing.
moved.
Public hearing is closed. All right, I go through the 5 factors, and it's self-created, right?
Any way you can think that it could be mitigated anyway.
Cover.
Well, cover, but the cover was always a requirement.
Right.
It's pulled back as far as.
Pulled back, in other words, it has to be as far away from the street as possible.
And it,
That's it. No condition.
I'm just thinking if there's any way to mitigate the impact. But, no.
Storage
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm looking back, when we went through this
Yeah.
in 2020, I mean, there was, Drew Gammel's put in a whole, I mean, there was a lot of
Yeah.
work done to get to where we got to.
Oh, absolutely. It
It
was
wasn't,
a
we just
tough
came
one.
up with this, like, we,
No, it wasn't an off-the-cuff thing.
Yeah. Okay. All right, let me read the resolution. Whereas application has been made to the zoning board by Anthony Cacciola and Margaret Cacciola, together the applicants, for a variance to legalize the seasonal parking of a recreational vehicle, RV, within the front yard setback, where Village Code 189-6, Part C, requires an RV to be stored within an enclosed building or garage, Section 186-6.C, Part 1, Item A, or stored in the rear or side yard of a lot, so long as said RV is entirely situated at a distance equal to or greater than the minimum yard setback requirements from the principal building, Section 186-6, Part 3, Section C, Item 1, Part B, on property located at 9 Barber Place, approximately 150 feet from the intersection of Bowman Avenue and Barber Place, in an R2F zoning district on the east side of Barber Place, said premises being known and designated on the tax map of the Village of Rybrook as parcel ID number 141.27-1-35, whereas the applicants previously obtained said variance for storage of the vehicle, but now own a larger RV, whereas the applicant's proposed seasonal storage of the RV in the front driveway between November 1st and April 20th of each year. Whereas a duly advertised public hearing was held on September 2nd and continued to September 2nd, at which time all those wishing to be heard were given such opportunity. Whereas the proposed action is a Type 2 action pursuant to the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, and accordingly no further environmental review is required. Whereas the board, from the application after viewing the premises and neighborhood concerned, and upon considering each of the factors set forth in Section 250-13, Section G, Part B, Items 2A through E of the Rybrook Code, finds, first, the variance will create an adverse impact to the character of the neighborhood. 2, the benefit the applicant seeks cannot be achieved through another method feasible for the
Can be
applicant.
Can be achieved.
Did I say can?
You
Yeah.
said cannot.
Can be achieved. For another method feasible for the application, I circled can and said cannot. 3, the variance is substantial. 4, the variance will not create any adverse impacts to the physical or environmental conditions of the neighborhood. 5, the need for the variance is self-created. Now therefore be it resolved that said application is either granted or denied on the following condition. No permit or certificate of occupancy shall be issued until the applicant has paid in full all application and consultant fees incurred by the village in connection with the review of this application. Okay, that's it? Are you comfortable with the,
Yes.
okay? Let's vote. Steve?
This is a very tough decision for me, because I am very concerned about the precedent. I'm also sympathetic to the applicant's position and the support of the neighbors. I'm going to say yes.
Glenn is excused. Jamie?
I have the same feelings. I mean, it's seem like nice people and supportive, but you know, we went through great lengths to approve this initially, and I am concerned more so about a precedent, and like Don had mentioned, you know, this coming back in the future. So I'm gonna, as much as it pains me to do so, I'm gonna vote no.
I'm pretty much what Jamie was saying. It's not an easy decision, but given the precedent and given the what went into the prior determination, I'm also going to say no.
Okay, well, Don, I concur with all of you. And, you know, we always try to do what we can to help alleviate burdens, but I think in this case, the hurdle is too high. So I'm going to have to vote no also. So the application is denied, 3 noes, 1 yes, and 1 extension. Okay. Okay. This was a very difficult one. Hopefully, here you go.
You have the minutes?
Minutes.
Minutes, Don?
Oh, yeah. The last item is the approval of the August summary. Everything okay?
Yeah.
Okay. August summary has been approved. Motion to close.
So moved.
Okay. Meeting is closed. Steve, you have anything up for October?